Angels waging war in the unseen realm. Global events fulfilling biblical prophecy. Eternal life. What lies beyond mortality? From analyzing the paranormal from a biblical worldview to the discussion of cutting-edge science and technology, conspiracy, discovery, special investigative reports. Unafraid to explore the challenging issues facing humanity. Welcome to another edition of Skywatch TV.
The message from Hollywood is very clear. A recent film that was picked up and broadcast directly by Netflix had as its tagline, "Evolve or Die." Welcome to Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert. Transhumanism, that's the message they're selling us, that if we don't somehow take control of our own evolution and guide humanity in the direction that we should go, we're all doomed. Well, this is the topic of the upcoming conference coming to Branson in September, the True Legends Conference. That's the topic of the conversation this week and next week on these web-exclusive broadcasts. Joining me, our science advisor, my best friend, and the author of the Red Wing Saga, in which she explores this theme, Sharon K. Gilbert.
Hi, sweetie.
And the gentleman who is, behind Gen 6 Productions, which is putting on the conference, the True Legends series of DVDs as well. And we welcome Timothy Alvarino to the program. Tim, welcome back.
Very nice to be here.
Well, the movie I'm referring to is a film that starred Sam Worthington called The Titan.
Not Titan.
No, not Titan.
Because it's about the moon Titan, but it's called The Titan.
And the film was about the need for humanity to evolve because we're running out of resources, we're poisoning. It's a theme that we've seen from Hollywood for years. We're destroying our planet, and so in order to survive, we need to go into space. This particular film took the idea that humanity must literally redesign itself in order to survive among the stars. Transhumanism, self-directed evolution, something we've been talking about for a long time.
It's eugenics.
It's eugenics writ large with a science fiction veneer. Now, before we jump too deeply into the deep end of the pool here, I've got to stop myself because I tend to jump ahead to the stuff I'm really interested in without remembering that there are folks who are new to Skywatch TV this year as we've added some new broadcast outlets. So they may be hearing this term for the first time, transhumanism. We're neck deep in this all the time, so we know what this is about and why it's significant. But for people who've never heard the term before, what is it and why should Christians be concerned?
The word transhumanism is very much like the word transformation in that it signals a transformation. Transhumanism is not the end game. Posthumanism is the end game. So transhumanism is the transition from human to posthuman, to non-human. And the transhumanist philosophy and policy that's now affecting governments worldwide, is directed evolution, is conscious, what's called conscious evolution in the New Age circles. And the idea is that nothing should restrain the human species, certainly not Christian morals, from taking a hold of our own evolutionary directive, the direction of our evolutionary ascent, and using technology to become something, an upgrade to the human species, effectively no longer the human species, in order to attain the benefits that are associated with such an upgrade, such as longer life, such as eradicating some of the genetic diseases that are plaguing humanity because of genetic entropy, and making us smarter, faster, stronger. And this all sounds great, except when you view it from the lens of Scripture. Because there's something very fundamentally important about being human on planet Earth. That God designed us to be the way we are, and there are massive, dire implications in changing the blueprint of the human race.
It's an old lie that going back to Genesis 3, the enemy, the fallen realm, would like to take away our right as imagers of God. He created us unique, and they want to destroy that.
Yes, I agree for sure that there's the conscious evolution, directed evolution, is just that. It's being directed, but not necessarily by human agencies.
Well, the irony is this notion of self-directed evolution is being sold as a way to make us better and healthier. But the fact is, logically speaking, let's just forget the Bible. Logically speaking, there's no money. Who is going to pay for all of this? You can't feed people, much less upgrade them.
Well, that's where it seems to me that the age-old search for immortality, which is recorded in the ancient Sumerian myth of Gilgamesh, which continued with the search for the fountain of eternal youth, the fountain of youth by the Spaniards. This has been something that the wealthy have been searching for a long time. And one of my arguments against this is that it would just further stratify the haves and the have-nots.
Yes.
I mean, Jesus said the poor you will always have with you. How much more so when people with the means to pay for some of these radical life extension technologies, if they ever exist, because they may just be 21st century version of snake oil, but if they become available, it's only the wealthy who'll be able to afford them.
I would say, in my estimation, this is my opinion, from my perspective, that the elite, who I call the Luciferian elite, are already employing these technologies to a degree. We see that many of the big players among the elite, members of the Bush family, the Kissingers, and so forth, are living into their late 90s. And so it's apparent to me that there is a level of technology that a lot of the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all of these guys are living very old unless they get hit by a car or something. So there is some kind of a technology being employed that they have access to. Whether it's just better versions of what we all have access to, I don't know.
Better medicine.
Better medicine, or is there some other element involved? I don't know, but I am sure that there soon will be, at the very least. At the very least. They just announced last year, I don't remember the exact article, but I was reading an article in which there was an astounding announcement made. They've realized that they can now, they were able to get rid of a genetic malady that led to some form of heart disease. They were able to simply to remove it, and it was heralded as the beginning of possibly the eradication of all genetic disease. The very first step to eradicate genetic disease, heritable genetic disease, across the board. And this is something that scientists, our doctors and scientists are feverishly working on. Obviously, the benefits to humanity are very great to be able to eradicate genetic disease, because when you talk about the human species in our current state of genetic entropy, because we are plummeting. I mean, Adam was here, and we're way down here at this point, genetically speaking. It's the law of entropy. And the greatest threat to the human race is the fact that our genome is deteriorating at such an expansive rate at this point, that what they're trying to do is figure out how to stop that entropy, how to reverse it, and how to get rid of the thousands of genetic maladies that are causing us all kinds of problems. And they're taking steps to do that, and there are breakthroughs. But this leads us into a whole bunch of unknowns. The next step, in order to in my opinion, from what I've researched, in order to truly implement this, you have to get involved in the whole question of designer babies, germline genetic engineering, to weed out of the human race these genetic deficiencies. So you said eugenics. This is eugenics on a level that we could have never imagined in the past. The potential
That's exactly
for genetics.
But here's the problem. CRISPR-Cas9 and other editing tools are being used left and right by scientists, almost like they're kids in a sandbox, delighted with their new toys, and they want to go in, these scientists, and I'm a scientist, I understand the joy of a new toy, but there are off-site errors being created constantly. It is not a robust tool yet, and even if you knew exactly every time that the desired result would be the result you actually achieved, it still costs money. Who is going to pay for this? Like I said, we cannot afford to feed everybody in this world. As you said, what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of haves, a very few haves, and most of the world will be have-nots. And the fact is, it will lead to a massive die-off in world population. That's the real end game.
Now, Sharon, your degree's in molecular biology with an emphasis in genetics, so we're talking your language here. A couple of things that I wanted you to clarify. Off-site errors. Were you talking about mutations?
Well,
Okay.
off-site errors. Say you want to insert a clean copy of a gene, an improved copy of a gene, or a restored copy of a gene into, let's say, we'll call it site 0 in your third chromosome, chromosome 3. Well, I miss chromosome 3 and it goes into chromosome 4, or it's in the wrong position on chromosome 3, and suddenly it's in the middle of a gene that encodes for, say, your ability to walk. It ruins a nerve or a neurotransmitter, and suddenly your lifestyle is completely interrupted. Or if you're trying to change in utero and actually alter the germline, suddenly the babies don't function anymore. They're born with birth defects, or they simply die in the womb, or they are sterile. And I think that's one of the things we're going to see happen, is it won't just be we want to improve you and make you a better athlete or a better soldier or a better thinker. We want to make sure you can't procreate.
That's right.
That was part of the eugenics movement. It was about eliminating the undesirables.
Right. Which actually was the understanding, according to Justice Ginsburg.
Yes, she's on the record as saying that was one of the reasons for Roe v. Wade.
Roe v. Wade, yeah. It was making sure there weren't too many of the wrong kind of people.
Yes, exactly.
I'm paraphrasing what she said, but that was her statement. Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to tell you about a conference coming up where you're going to get this information in quantity. You're going to hear a number of experts speaking to this, the dangers of transhumanism, what it is, why we should be aware of this movement, how we're being programmed through the media, and more. The conference coming to Branson, Missouri in September. Details about when, where, and who's speaking right after this.
As many as 80% of Americans are carrying a time bomb. A medical crisis in their bodies right now, unaware that they will soon develop prolonged chronic illness, autoimmune disease, or even cancer. Today's frightening truth is citizens are being poisoned every single day without their knowledge. A health epidemic largely brought on by industrialized food is destroying our genetics and immune systems through deadly modified organisms, carcinogenic materials, and life-threatening chemicals commonly found in most of today's processed groceries. Coming this April in the groundbreaking new book, Time Bomb, by Joe Ardis Horn and Allie Anderson. You'll be put in charge of your health once again as commercial marketing games are exposed, and the expose of the year unveils how easy it is to avoid toxic ingredients, identify organic and safe foods, and make healthy eating affordable. You will learn how neuroscience is confirming an amazing gut-brain connection that holds the key to maintaining physical, hormonal, emotional, and mental wellness. With powerful insights from health professionals for maintaining superior physiology and reversing chronic illness without a weight loss diet. Time Bomb is set to become your most important field guide for avoiding a national health epidemic more pervasive than anyone could have ever imagined. Time Bomb, coming this April.
There is a genocide of deadly processed foods happening right now in the United States, creating a health epidemic more pervasive than anyone ever imagined. But now, you can arm yourself with the knowledge to keep you and your family from becoming its next victim. Skywatch TV is proud to announce the Time Bomb special offer. When you order Time Bomb from the Skywatch TV store, you'll also receive the Time Bomb Companion DVD. This incredible DVD includes special, never-before-released, off-the-record interviews with healthcare professionals like Dr. Ralph Umbriaco, Dr. Joshua Vance, and Dr. Matthew Sams on the current food crisis in the U.S., and tips on how to achieve your optimal physiological health. This DVD is nearly 5 hours in length and also includes the entire Skywatch TV Time Bomb television series with Joe Horn, Allie Anderson, and Derek Gilbert. But that's not all. You'll also receive Eat This and Live for kids. This colorful, fully illustrated book by Dr. Don Colbert walks you step by step through how to begin teaching your kids to love the foods that will love them back. While out shopping, how to avoid deadly toxins in many common kids' foods and household products, what to feed your kids from preschool to preteen, healthy snacks they will love, and what supplements they'll desperately need, and so much more. But the health epidemic isn't just limited to humankind. Also included in this unbelievable special offer, Joe Artis Horn's best-selling book, The Dead Pets Don't Lie Expose, and companion DVD. This shocking book and DVD collection sounds the alarm on the scandalous practices of the commercial pet food industry. Learn how the FDA is allowing big scams where detestable, poisonous pet foods are being passed off as healthy and causing pets to die prematurely. You'll learn everything you need to know in order to quickly read pet food labels and allow your pet to avoid these toxic ingredients. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of over $100. Yours now for a donation of only $30 plus shipping and handling. Take control today. The Time Bomb special offer is your field guide to avoiding the deadly processed foods and ingredients that are creating a massive wave of health crisis in America. This information covers every member of the family, the adults, children, and even our pets. Begin transforming how you and your family eat and live now. The Time Bomb special offer. Order now at the Skywatch TV store online or call 844-750-4985.
Welcome back to Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert. Joining me, two of the featured speakers at the upcoming Transhumanism and the Hybrid Age Conference in Branson, Missouri, September 14th through the 16th, Sharon K. Gilbert and Timothy Alberino. Tim, Gen 6 Productions putting on the conference. Who else will be speaking at this conference?
Well, let me say, first of all, we're very excited to have Sharon.
I'm excited to be asked.
In my opinion, you're one of the leading experts on transhumanism.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I mean, the film that you guys put out in Human was very well written, and the information was very informative.
Thanks.
But we have Sharon, myself, Steve Quayle. We have Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Horn is speaking at the conference. David Knight from InfoWars is speaking at the conference. Hugo de Garis, who we're bringing from China, one of the leading minds, if not the leading minds, in the realm of artificial brains and artificial intelligence, is going to be with us. And we're going to have a host of other people. We have some people, actually. We have at least one individual, very well known, that's coming from the world of ufology.
Oh.
And there's some very interesting connections between transhumanism and ufology, the alien phenomena. And I'll be touching on that a little bit, and so will this other individual, Richard Dolan.
Richard Dolan?
Oh, very well known.
Yeah,
one of the big hitters in the world of ufology will be joining us at the conference. So it's very interesting. We're dealing with transhumanism and the hybrid age, and we're leaking a little bit into the alien question at the same time.
And Steve will be speaking as well, too.
Yes, Steve's one of the main speakers. And so what we're doing here is, I like to describe this as it's a unified front against the technocratic elite and their agenda of transhumanism. And the unified front is Gen 6 Productions, Skywatch TV, and InfoWars. And so this is really unprecedented.
Wow.
What we're doing here. And there's a lot of people really excited about the fact that these organizations are united in this conference. And really what we're doing is we're creating a unified front to resist the transhumanist agenda, which is a Luciferian agenda.
It's a no, yeah.
That's what it is. And every sense of the phrase, we are the resistance.
We need T-shirts. I keep telling you.
They're
Absolutely.
coming.
Well, Hugo de Garis is one of the speakers, and he's written a fabulous book called The Art Elect War. And if you want to learn more about transhumanism and where it's really going to take us, that is a must-read.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've interviewed Hugo a couple of times, and I know that our friends at a podcast, Canary Cry Radio, Basil and Gons, have interviewed him as well. And Dr. de Garis is an interesting fellow in that he recognizes the threat, and that's why he wrote The Art Elect War. He believes that this is the geopolitical issue of the 21st century, which says a lot, because when you consider the third great wave of Islamic expansion is taking place right now, water and the rights to clean water will be a major geopolitical issue over the next century.
Undoubtedly.
But for Dr. de Garis to say the issue of whether or not humanity upgrades itself is bigger than both of those.
It is.
Is huge. And he uses the word giga death to describe the potential fallout from it. In other words, billions of people dying as the enhanced humans decide that the rest of us are useless eaters. You mentioned something else, Sharon, earlier that I want to come back to. You used the word imagers in relation to describe how we've been created by God. For people not familiar with that term, where it comes from in the Bible, expand on that.
You know, we are taught that we are created in His image, and I love the way Dr. Michael S. Heiser puts it. He says we're not necessarily, that's not the best way to understand it. We are not necessarily created in His image. We're not spirits. The Lord created us.
We don't
as a spirit.
physically look like God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't. He's not bipedal. He doesn't, wear glasses or anything like that. We are His imagers on this earth. We are to represent Him on this earth.
His
we were
image
given
bearers.
dominion
Yeah.
on this earth.
Right.
And we have allowed the enemy to take that from us. And the enemy wants to make sure we are never restored to that position in what Heiser calls the divine council, because Paul tells us we shall judge the angels because we will be part of the divine council. They really don't want that to happen. So I believe that the fallen realm would love to just erase humans as we currently are, imagers of God, from the planet.
So how would transforming, Tim, change us as image bearers of God, His moral agents on earth, into something? I mean, how would that affect our status?
Well, there are certain genetic markers that make us human, certain qualities that make a human and not a chimpanzee or some other form of life. Once those trademarks are lost by the human race, I am of the persuasion that we will then lose some of the authority invested in the human race, because those are the trademarks that make us human. And so there's a very fine line. The question then becomes, what is a human being? And that's a question that's on the table now because of the transhumanist movement, because of the potential for extreme transformation, transmutation, the directed evolution. So what does it mean to be human? Is there a reason why we should continue to be human if we can become post-human and if we can improve ourselves, humanity 2.0? Why then should we remain human? But that goes to the fundamental question of the human condition. What is the human condition? Well, everybody knows what the human condition is, even though they don't admit it. The human condition is defined in Scripture, and it is present in the conscious mind of every human being. The human condition is sin and death. And the rectification of the human condition for the believer is the cross, specifically the resurrection. There's the rectification for our condition in Christ. The rectification for the human condition to the transhumanist is to become something other than human. Because here we have a problem. The problem of death, the problem of genetic entropy. This is our problem. What's our problem? Being human is the problem in the first place. Transhumanism is to transition us out of the human condition into a false gospel. The rectification of the human condition through technology to become something other than human, to evolve into the gods that we were meant to be.
Eternal life without God.
Eternal life without God. It's circumventing. It's an end around the cross of Christ.
Right.
To get to the same goal.
Yeah.
It's the serpent in the garden. You can be like the gods. Reject Christ. Here's another option.
But eternal life without God is hell on earth.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what they want to do.
It's interesting because it's very similar to the problem encountered by people who suffer from gender dysphoria, who think that because their problems are tied to being the wrong gender inside their body, that all of their problems would be fixed if they could just change and become something other than what they are.
Yes.
The transhumanist movement is the same thing.
Very similar.
We can solve all of our they forget that the problem is not connected to the physical form we inhabit. The problem is in here, the human heart. And that goes with you to the next form. If somehow you were able to transplant your consciousness into an avatar or a mainframe somewhere, it does not change the problem of sin. It follows.
But sin and death, as you say, that is the human condition. But another aspect of sin is free will. There is no sin if there is no free will.
Right.
So imagine a person living forever who chooses evil again and again and again. There is a belief amongst many transhumanists that somehow by upgrading humanity will become kinder, gentler. It will be an egalitarian environment where resources are shared by all. That is not what will happen.
And life will be unicorns and rainbows.
That's what my life is already.
But that's not what will happen. There's a TV show that you and I have watched, and I think it's called Altered Carbon. And I believe it portrays where it is headed if that's what happens.
Right.
It will be a world where a few people have all of the resources and everybody else is scrapping to do anything, even if it means killing your spouse to get an upgrade in your body, because humanity lives forever, but their bodies don't, so they're constantly upgrading their bodies. It's essentially marrying the idea of cybernetics with altered meat space, altered carbon.
Yeah.
Meat space. I like that term.
Yeah, it's a term that was,
It's been around for a while. And eventually on the next show, we need to talk about artificial intelligence and how that is part of the agenda.
That's a good idea. Also, want to talk about the concept of justice in this context.
Well, and I think that one of the primary questions that has to be considered is, what are the salvific implications of becoming something other than human? And I think they're very great. Jesus became a man to die for men. And so there is salvation in the cross of Christ if you're human.
Yeah.
We look to the cross, we believe in Jesus, and our hope is in the resurrection. As human beings, if you become something other than human, you've already committed yourself to a Luciferian path, and in my opinion, you forfeit. You are no longer a candidate for salvation if you're not a human being. And so there's very, very dire salvific implications involved in transhumanism.
And the transhumanist movement is getting humans to opt out of being human. In other words, selling our salvation for a human upgrade, for a temporary upgrade, just like Esau sold his birthright for a pot of beans. Gen6.com is the website to register for this conference for more information. And don't wait, because as I understand, Tim, we're already about 2/3 sold out.
We are 2/3 full.
Yeah, so don't wait. This is coming in September. Already 2/3 sold. Gen6, GENSIX.com. Don't wait. And next week, a special announcement regarding the conference. We'll call that a tease, and we'll tell you next week. Not going to give you any more information. But again, Gen6.com, the True Legends Transhumanism and the Hybrid Age Conference, the Mansion Theater in Branson, September 14th through the 16th, 2018. A lot of great places to stay in Branson, great restaurants, things for the family to do as well. So make it a gathering for the whole family. We saw a lot of young people there last year. We'd like to see that again this year. With Sharon Gilbert and Tim Alberino, I'm Derek Gilbert. This is Skywatch TV.
Hi, Gary Stearman. Good to talk to you again, and particularly now because we have L.A. Marzulli in the studio for a few minutes, and we're going to be talking about some of his latest work. L.A., welcome to Prophecy
Great
Watchers.
to be here, Gary. Thanks.
You have produced a DVD, and I'm holding it here, Fatima, Miracle of the Sun or Harbinger of Deception. I think the whole world really kind of knows about the miracle of Fatima, as commonly perceived across the board. People around the world, I think, are familiar with it as a time when the Virgin Mary appeared to 3 Portuguese children and gave them prophecies. They wrote the prophecies down and they became the property of the Vatican. And there's been so much coverage in the news over the years, going all the way back to the 50s, 60s, 70s. Everybody said, what's the prophecy of Fatima?
Secret,
What is the prophecy of Fatima? And so that's the way it's been presented to us. But with your research, we know something entirely different now.
Well, here's something that most people don't understand. Okay, you've got the three seers. First of all, Francisco's off the table because he couldn't hear what the apparition was saying. You've got Lucia, who's a 10-year-old girl at the time, and Jacinta, who's only 7 years old. They're illiterate. They have no grid work in which to place anything that they're seeing except the stories that they've been told going to church and from their family. Very young, illiterate children. After the last apparition of October 13th, nothing happens. In other words, when you go back and you look at the records, there's not one word about Russia or the conversion of Russia. It's not there in the 1917 records. It does not exist. Lucia is taken into a convent, given a vow of silence, which many of the nuns take. She's cloistered, and 11 years after the event is when she begins to write the so-called secrets. So people can do with that what they will. But in the 1917 records, the so-called secrets of Fatima do not exist. They're not there.
Now, I want to go back to the little character that appeared to the three children and to the other woman. And the fact that it's a strange-looking, and let me use the word alien-looking character. Can't tell whether it's male or female.
Right.
Its clothing is strange.
Right.
If any of us were to see that today, we would not be thinking any religious thought at all. We would be thinking about something entirely different. But as you got into this, the femininity of this deity and its connection with ancient serpent deities that go way back into history is too pronounced to ignore. It's there.
There's a term I sort of coined, interdimensional transgender entity, because there are no female angels. It's just not there in the biblical narrative at all. Transgendered interdimensional entities. And what I believe is these fallen angels are obsessed with the feminine form, and so they appear as these goddesses. It all goes back to the same thing. They want to be worshipped. And isn't it interesting? Here we are in 2018, and what is the big thing in global society? This sort of exalting the legitimacy of transgendered individuals.
Absolutely.
I want to make something clear. You know, people who are going through this, they need prayer and they need counseling. I understand that, but we still have to understand that what we're looking at, there's a power behind this, which is infusing it. One more thing, you mentioned the sacred feminine. The women, especially in the West, have been elevated, and I'm not just talking about your wife or a housewife or anything like that, but when you look at hair commercials and the commercials that are on TV and the billboards and the ads, they take on this semi-goddess-like form, and you have to scratch your head and say, my gosh, what is going on here? Because it's almost like worship.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like a perfume commercial.
Like a perfume commercial.
With a woman
Right.
dressed up to look like a goddess.
Like a goddess.
Walking on water.
Why is that? Why is
What's
that?
she doing? She's reflecting an ancient belief system.
I
it
agree.
didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of the dark side.
That's right.
And it is a satanic deception.
I agree.
And I have to tell you, those of you watching, it's going to be difficult for L.A. and I, in just the few minutes that are remaining, to absolutely present this concept with impact. It is impossible because there's just too much to it.
Even in the film, Gary, I left out so much of the interviews with Dr. Lake and Carl and Derek Gilbert. I mean, it just, you have to keep it moving, but there's so much I left out. But I think what we have is pithy and poignant, hopefully.
But again, you have taken a rather obscure, historically misinterpreted event, and you've gone and looked at, and I want to say something else here, looked at the photographs, because there are photographs of this event that are phenomenal photographs, and if you haven't seen those, wow, pictures worth...
And I know you haven't seen those photographs. There was a photographer... There was a photographer there, his name was Ben O'Leal, and he had one of those old cameras with glass plates. there's a man that I was supposed to interview when I was in Portugal, and so for some reason it never happened. And our guide Francisco just was amazed, dumbfounded that he forgot the interview. And this only happened about several months ago. And so we did a Skype interview with, his name is Jose Machado, and he had access to the sanctuary at Fatima in 2008. What he saw and handled the original glass plates taken on October 13th, 1917. He was able to examine them, and he's qualified to do that. He's qualified to do that. And what he saw there in the glass plates, he's given us all the information. He's also given us Spiral of Life, my publishing company, the rights to the book. We are publishing his book. It's basically, we show the photographs, his analyses. I've written the foreword. Francisco Cordiera has written another foreword to it. And that is sort of that's sort of the pinnacle of the film, when we show the photograph. And he comes on the record. We've got 4 or 5 people like peppering him with questions via Skype. You know, how do you know this isn't a smudge, or there's a object? Because I've always thought, Gary, that photographers get the shot. And the phenomena went on for 10 to 14 minutes. And sure enough, there are pictures. And what it seems to be, and the viewer's going to have to look at it and decide for themselves. It's undoctored. It's in the glass plate itself. It seems like there's a smoke trail that comes up like this, makes a right angle turn, and right over this place where the apparition supposedly appeared is a round object. And what's interesting about this, witness after witness came on the record in 1917, who was on the moors of Fatima, and stated that they looked up and saw a dull silver disc. So it's one thing to have several witnesses say that. It's another thing to have photographic proof from the original glass plates that have been sitting at Fatima, Portugal for almost 100 years, and then have a researcher who's qualified to do this go in, examine the glass plate, and then give us the evidence. And that's what's produced in the film and also the book.
Picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yes, it is.
You see a disc. I mean, I've looked at the pictures. It's a disc. Let's face it. And not just one disc, but there seem to be some other objects there, which we don't have time to talk about. But what really, really amazes me is the way that you have linked this event to ancient pagan worship.
Yes.
It's not a Christian event at all. It's a pagan event, and may mark the beginning of the march toward the end of the 20th century and the days where we are right now, because more and more and more we're seeing these things in the air. I mean, all you have to do is read the statistics. UFOs are being seen not by the hundreds, but by the thousands.
And we've had disclosure.
And we've had disclosure. The people in the government have showed us their little closely guarded films of a jet fighter following a UFO. It's been in all the news. And so bit by bit, the story is coming out. But what is the story? LA, I think, has got the scoop on it. Fatima 1, the miracle of the sun. Fatima 2, strange phenomena. What is this phenomenon? What is this phenomenon? And how is it of value in understanding Christian Bible prophecy? To me, it says a lot. It says more than a mouthful about the last days and what's going to happen.
Satan comes with all signs and lying wonders. And I realize that can be deemed very offensive to some people who believe that Fatima was Mary. That's why Mary's off the table. Look at the evidence, decide for yourself. Look at the evidence, because it's there. And I believe it's a harbinger of deception.
Oh, yeah. And Fatima 2 is just going to blow your mind, because the production values, what you see, and when you hear people actually talking about this thing, not people who are speculating, but people who have the documents, the materials, the photographs.
The photographs.
It's all right there. Either DVD for your gift of $25 to Prophecy Watchers, free shipping anywhere in the United States. If you buy both of these together, we love to put things together in combinations for you. We think it's kind of doing you a little service, because both of these for your gift of $50, and we're going to give you Jeff Kinley's great book on the Latter-day Church called Wake the Bride. And that package, again, is shipped to you free anywhere in the United States. And the 800 number is on your screen right now. You can call. You can get Fatima 1 or Fatima 2 or both with Jeff Kinley's book. And of course, you know what I would recommend. You got to see both of these DVDs. And Jeff Kinley's book, what a bonus. LA, you know, you keep doing it. You keep going out there and probing in places that nobody else will touch. And I can't imagine what the Lord's going to open up next.
Very interesting to see what the next thing on the docket is, as it were.
And I'm sure it'll be exciting because we live in exciting days. L.A. Marzulli, always on the trail of something. And keep it up.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure for me, has been for years, to talk to L.A. Marzulli about what may be the next adventure. This one is worth following because you get an idea of the times in which we live. These are very significant days.
Yes, absolutely.
So keep watching. We are. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Hi there, it's Pastor Steve Cioccolanti here, and I am coming to you on Facebook Live for the first time. And I want to take the occasion to say congratulations to all of my Malaysian followers and the Malaysians that are listening. Congratulations on your national election. Again, this is the first time that I'm live on Facebook, so I believe that you'll get a little notification that asks, would you like to be notified next time I'm online? So please, if you accept that, you will know when I go live in the future. And I'm hoping that this is the answer to many of your requests that you're wanting more live streaming. We're trying to find the right platform for it. Facebook is not always friendly to Christians and conservatives, so we need a backup plan, but for now, this is the beginning of it, all right? I'll tell you at the end how you can be part of Discover Church Online and actually have a home church online if you need one. All right, so what's going on? What's the big deal? For the international audiences who don't know, there is so much excitement right now among Malaysians. And why is that? Because Dr. Mahathir has been elected Prime Minister of Malaysia. The election of Dr. Mahathir is significant for 5 reasons. Number one, this is the first time in 60 years that the opposition party called the Hope Coalition has won an election. You heard that right. I think that's very strange for Americans who are listening, but that's the first time. So the ruling party called the Barisan Nasional has been in power for 61 years. And Malaysians were fed up with the one-party system. Under Prime Minister Najib, the government was accused of much corruption. Number two, Dr. Mahathir is 92 years old, and his wife, Siti Hasma, is 91 years old. So he clearly is the world's oldest Prime Minister, and she must be the world's oldest First Lady. Number three, Dr. Mahathir's slogan was right out of Trump's handbook, Make Malaysia Great Again. And he's like the Donald Trump of Malaysia, meaning that he represents the opposition. Even though he's Muslim, he's modern. And even though he's old, he's perceived as being modern. He went to the people, all right? He went to the people, not like Hillary Clinton, taking breaks and sleeping and not going to the people. Donald Trump went out to the people. And Dr. Mahathir shared a lot on social media. They were very effective, and the people loved him for it. And obviously, the ruling elites didn't. There is a wave of political revolution where the will of the people wins over the will of the elites. This has happened in Trump, in the USA, Viktor Orban in Hungary, and now Dr. Mahathir in Malaysia. Number four reason this is significant. I believe there's actually spiritual significance to this breakthrough. Even those of us who are not Malaysian, we have something to celebrate. Right now, even the non-Christians in Malaysia are saying that Malaysia is born again, all right, on the 10th of May, 2018. Christians started praying together. You know, there's nothing like suffering that brings people together. When people suffer, when there's corruption that people just can't stand anymore, and there's injustice and there's poverty, suddenly Christians are united and band together. You know, we have a disease in the West, it's called affluence, and we're so complacent because we're so rich, so wealthy, and we think we don't need God. But of course we need God like Malaysians do. But thank God the Malaysians came together and prayed, and God answered. The people wanted change. They wanted to clean corruption and drain the swamp and to make Malaysia great again. And it happened the same month as the anniversary of Israel. On May 14, 2018, the modern state of Israel will turn 70 years old. It's just amazing. What a you can't say coincidence, because it really is a God incident. But if you look at the pictures of how people are celebrating, they're so jubilant in the street. I'll post some of these pictures. I get the feeling of how amazing, how much hope one leader brings. When corruption goes, when a corrupt government goes, the people are jubilant. The people are ecstatic. And that just makes me think of the day when Jesus Christ will return and every government in the world will be replaced. Imagine the joy, imagine the excitement worldwide that that's going to cause, because injustice will be punished and corruption will be exposed and Jesus will rule. How amazing. For not just for Christians, but for anyone that longs for justice. That's going to be an amazing day when Jesus replaces corrupt governments on the earth. The day will come because Revelation chapter 11 promises it. The seventh angel sounded, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, "The kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever." Number 5, I think this is the most important story out of this whole event. Dr. Mahathir has promised to stay in power for only 2 years and then hand power over to the man that he put in jail, Anwar Ibrahim. Now you got to listen to this story. Anwar was a protege of Dr. Mahathir and a rising star of Malaysian politics until the two men had a falling out in the late 1990s. Anwar was deputy prime minister of Malaysia, and then he was jailed in April 1999 on trumped-up sodomy charges. After he was released in 2004, Anwar was convicted and jailed again by the subsequent prime minister, Najib, for another sodomy charge. Anwar has served 3 years out of the 5-year prison sentence, which started in 2015. Now, Dr. Mahathir, like Donald Trump, has not wasted time and has got to work right away. He started the process of pardoning Anwar, and his plan is that his old enemy will become prime minister in 2 years. Anwar's wife, Wan Aziza Wan Ismail, the head of the PKR, the People's Justice Party, has become the deputy prime minister. So I guess in 2 years, you'll have a husband-wife team. The husband will be prime minister, the wife will be deputy. To me, this event is just amazing because it happens to correspond with today's Bible reading. If you're following us in the Life Journal, which you can download from discover.org.au, just find that. Today's reading is 2 Samuel 18:19, and let's include chapter 17 as well. It's a story of Absalom. If Facebook interrupts me again, you can just go to Periscope. If you don't have Periscope, try it out. We're looking for another way where we can interact with people who want to be discipled online. So please, I said I was going to say it at the end. I'm going to say it in the beginning and at the end. If you want to be an online church member, you want to get mentoring and discipleship online, please email info@discover.org.au and put a subject, Discover Church Online. Discover Church Online. It's not a replacement for a physical church. We have Discover Church Physical, and we also have Discover Church Online, a community of people who've been saved, who've been blessed through my ministry, and you're most welcome to join me. And we're going to try to find a way to make interaction happen. So thank you for the likes. I can see that popping up there. Thank you. I can see people joining. I appreciate that. I'm going to give you time to come and join. And let's try it. Let's do it again. So once again, I want to congratulate all of my Malaysian friends for the landmark national election. You truly prayed for God's will to be done, and you've seen a breakthrough in Malaysia. Congratulations on that. And I'm so glad America has seen such a breakthrough. Hungary has seen such a breakthrough. Malaysia is seeing such a breakthrough. I want to say Australia, we're next. All right. We got some good people that we can pray for that can really drain the swamp. Now, how do you drain the swamp? Do you need a fighter? Do you need someone that's crude and rude? No, you need someone like David, someone who's a man after God's own heart. Interesting, huh? God doesn't even say a king after God's own heart. He just called him a man. Like you could be a man after God's own heart. It's not the title and the position. It's not hereditary. It is spiritual. And it's so important that we get God's heart because that is what leads the nation into righteousness. Now, I was saying that this event actually corresponds to today's Life Journal reading. So that's how amazing the Bible reading program is. When you plan to read the Bible every day, God can speak even through a planned Bible reading program. Why not? He is God. So please get into the Bible each day like we do. You can go to discover.org.au and download a Bible reading plan, and I'm reading it every day, so you'd be following the same plan as I am. Let's get into it. 2 Corinthians. Sorry, I've done this so many times, I'm mixing the scripture. 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel, chapters 17, 18 to 19 is the story of Absalom, and it sounds so much like the story of Dr. Mahathir in Malaysia. Absalom took the throne from his father, King David, and made Amasa captain of the hosts. That's general of the rebellion against David. When Absalom died in battle, what did David do to Amasa? A godless king would have punished Amasa, but instead David said in 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 13, I'm going to make you leader of my army. So he turns to the general of the enemy's army and says, now that the fight is over, I'm going to make you not just my friend, I'm going to make you in charge of my military. What kind of man does that? David was great because of the way he treated his enemies. It's the only way to be great on this planet is the way you treat your enemies. Even Joab accused David of loving his enemies in 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 6. Not many people without Christ can do this. Anwar and his wife had to forgive Dr. Mahathir for falsely accusing him and jailing him. Dr. Mahathir had to be willing to give up his power to his enemy. They both said they're doing it for the good of the nation, for the good of Malaysia. They settled their differences for the greater good. How many people need to settle their differences for the greater good? Listen, these people are not even Christian. The world would be healed if Christians acted more like this. As I said, many Christians are waiting to be healed. They're sick in their body, they're waiting to be healed. They're sick in their mind, they're waiting to be healed. According to the Bible, they would be healed if they would forgive and bless their enemies. Job chapter 42, verse 10, and the Lord released Job from captivity. When? When he prayed for his friends. And these were not good friends. They were complaining friends and nitpicking friends and fault-finding friends. The Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Another translation says, after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. So you don't get twice as much. You don't get this kind of victory until you learn to pray for your enemies. Many nations are sick because they don't do what Dr. Mahathir is doing. Forgive and bless your enemies. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 43, you have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you. And pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun shine or rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. My last point for tonight in my congratulatory message to Malaysians, we're with you, but please stay vigilant. Often people replace one bad government with another. The government can only be as good as the people. The people must be moral and good to keep their rulers good. We still need a lot of work to be done, and we really need a Christian revival in the land. So happy new birthday, Malaysia. We're praying for you. Happy 70th birthday, Israel. We're praying for Israel. And Christians, it's time for a great awakening. It's time for Christians to show this God kind of love to the world. Learn to pray for fellow Christians that you disagree with. You can't criticize someone you're praying for. You know why? Because you want them to succeed. Job prayed for his frenemies and he was healed. It's time to be more like David than Saul. It's time to be more like Job than Job's friends. And it's time for God to drain the swamp. I'll be doing more live teaching for my online church members. Once again, if you'd like to be part, you'd like to be a committed online church member, be mentored by me, please email info@discover.org.au and put a subject headline, Discover Church Online, so that we know what you're emailing about. All right. Once again, if Facebook asks you, do you want to be notified? You just click at the bottom, turn on, and then you will be notified of Facebook Live next time I'm on. Again, I'm looking at different platforms. I am really trying to interact with my online disciples more. I appreciate you so much. You're wonderful people, especially those in Malaysia. God bless you. You have done very well, but keep on praying. Don't let up in prayer. And God is going to see you through. You're going to be a great light to the nations. God bless Malaysia.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. This is Acceleration Radio, right here on KGRA. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. You're listening to Acceleration Radio right here on KGRA. Great to be here on Tuesday night. Next Tuesday, Chase Klotsky will be here. And, of course, she's a regular on KGRA. And we're going to be talking about her participation in the new film, Fatima 2. I really used Chase as a UFO investigator, almost like as an expert witness. And we cut to her all throughout the film. So that's just a little teaser for what's happening next week. But a little announcement here. Right here is KGRA. Right here, KGRA, number 4, 1, 2, 3, number 4 last week. And I'm really proud of that, folks. Thank you for listening. Thank you for those of you who are tuning in on the net. We beat out all these other people. I mean, Sean Hannity. Go figure, right? Sean's huge. I get that. But the amount of people that are listening to Sean are mostly on TV. This is all internet stuff right here behind me. And I'm just tickled pink, well, whatever, to be, sorry. I'm just really happy to be in the number 4 slot here. So I thank you all for listening, and thank you for tuning in, and thank you for supporting what we do here on Acceleration Radio. Look, a lot is going on the planet right now. In fact, my producer Bill and I were just talking about it off air before I went on. So much is going on. So much is going on. And I'm not even going to deal with Hawaii and the volcanic eruptions, the earthquakes, which are ongoing. There's a spike in earthquake activity, a spike of volcanic activity. If you want to see more about this, we discuss it all in great lengths in Days of Chaos, my book, and Watchers 9. You can get up to speed. But earthquakes are like this. It's ramping up. Volcanic activity ramping up. And now we see that the Ring of Fire, of course, is very active. And who knows what this thing is really going to do in Hawaii. And, hopefully it'll quiet down and we'll be done. But in the meantime, homes are being burned, roads are being closed. And from what I understand, this sulfur dioxide is being leaked into the air from the fissures and the cracks, highly poisonous gas. So it's a very tenuous situation that's happening over there. But what I'm really interested in, and we're going to drill down on this in the first half of the show, is this. Donald Trump basically nuked the Iran deal. Now, for those of you who aren't up to speed with this, Obama made this deal, really bad deal, by the way, with the Iranians when he was president. And they flew in with cargo planes, apparently, billions of dollars of cash
right, on pallets. That was part of the deal. Basically, it's bribery. They're saying, well, we'll give you all this money, we'll lift the sanctions, we'll make all this, we'll really make nice, can't we all get along, blah, 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 blah. We'll make it all work, and, just be nice with us, and just play nice with us, and we'll play nice with you. Leading from behind. So Obama's leading from behind, really far behind. And what's amazing about this is last week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released at this incredible press conference the bald-faced lie that the Iranians have been involved in. In other words, the Iranians have been saying, oh, we stopped our nuclear program, we're not going to do this anymore today, everything's fine, come on over. No, we're not. They haven't stopped doodly squat. They haven't stopped doodly. This is the problem. So not only, on the entire world stage, think about this, the entire world stage, Iran is being shown as a bunch of liars. How can they go to the UN and say anything at this point? They lie. They lied. They reneged. We gave them billions of dollars, and guess what? Some of that was my money, and some of it was your money, taxpayer dollars. And Obama just flies it in, leading from behind, and he drops it there, and everybody says, "Oh, this is great diplomacy. Obama should, get another Nobel Peace Prize, yada yada yada." And what really happens? Nothing changes. We give the billions of dollars, and the Iranians just continue with their nuclear program. So this is huge. Huge. And speaking of huge, right behind me, our president, who is not leading from behind and is basically a trend center. It just amazes me. I can go off on a rabbit trail here. It's just the mainstream media, no matter what this guy does, they're against his wife, they're against him, they're never Trumpers, leave the country. I've never seen anything like it in my almost 68 years. Never have I seen the media go after anybody like they do Donald Trump. And this whole thing with Mueller's investigation, it's a nothing burger, and it really should go away. Mueller is just, in my opinion, and this is what's chilling about it. God forbid he go after anybody that we know or any of you listening to this thing, because he'll get you on something, guaranteed. He'll get you on something, and that's what So the whole Russian collusion thing, that's what the investigation was about. So now we've moved away from that. And now we're checking out Trump's best friend over here. Or what about this guy? What's under this carpet here? Got to be something gonna get him. Ha 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 ha. All Mueller cares about is impeaching Trump, getting Trump impeached, finding something on him. Meanwhile, these same yahoos in the mainstream media, Melania, who in my opinion is one of the most elegant, if not the most elegant first lady in our history, and she speaks 5 languages, and people just pick at her and just try to tear her down. I've never seen anything like it. Mean-spiritedness. So Trump, getting back on track here, Trump looks at this. I got to keep track of my time. And actually, Producer Bill, I know he can hear me. Producer Bill, give me like a 2-minute warning or a 3-minute warning so I can, do it that way. And it's okay if you come in. It's always good to hear the producer's voice. It's so reassuring. So Trump basically walked away from the nuke deal with Iran. And I say bully for the Donald. Bully for the Donald. It's about time somebody stood up and said, you know what? These guys are a bunch of liars. And it's been proven that Netanyahu had all the evidence, a plethora, a cornucopia of evidence was thrown at for anybody who wanted to look at it last week. So the Iranians are bald-faced liars. Not the people in Iran, but the mullahs who control the country. And make no mistake about it, the mullahs have an apocalyptic mindset, and that's where we're going to get into. So Trump nukes the nuke deal, essentially, and of course Rouhani's saying, well, there's going to be very bad consequences here. Well, what are you guys going to do? What are you going to do? So what I find really interesting, and this is where it starts to get complicated. Israel's 70th birthday is just in a few days here, all right? Just in a few days. Israel's 70th birthday. Plus, they're bringing our embassy to Jerusalem. That's huge. That's huge because every other president that said they were going to do that, going back to Bush the senior, to W, to Obama, oh, we're gonna move our embassy to Jerusalem. No, you're not. No one's done anything. Trump did. And they're moving it right into Jerusalem because Jerusalem is the eternal capital of Israel. And for all you anti-Semites that say, these aren't the real Jews, LA, they're not the real Jews, they're imposters. Okay, let's run with this for a second. If they're not the real Jews, we'll move them all out of Israel, and then we'll go find the real ones. They got to be hiding somewhere here. Not under there. I mean, it's an absurd statement, and people don't know their history because the Jews, after AD 70, okay, after the diaspora, when the Romans came in and slaughtered upwards of 1 million and took the rest of them to captive, there has always been a continual Jewish presence all throughout the Middle East for the last 2,000 years. And when Israel became a nation, a lot of Jews from what is now Iran and Iraq and Syria and Lebanon all went into Israel. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Hitler had no problem figuring out who the real Jews were. And by the way, the 6 million count is probably too conservative. It's probably a lot more than that. And by the way, there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this, and I'll tell you what the reason is. Messiah came from the tribe of Judah. Messiah, Jesus, was a Jew. I can't say it any plainer than that. From the tribe of Judah. And that's the game changer. And that's why the fallen cherub, the dragon, hates the Jews and has gone after them. And I wrote about all this in the Cosmic Chess Match. We don't have time to get into it because I want to get into what's really happening in the Middle East here. So it is Israel's 70th birthday. And folks, you got to understand, this is the fulfillment of prophecy in our lifetime. I remember, I'll never forget it. I was like 16 years old when the Six-Day War happened. And I went down to get the paper and I opened it up and there it was, the headlines, Israel retakes or Israel takes Jerusalem. And I got chills, but I didn't know why. I didn't care about Israel. I mean, I was 16 years old. I mean, it meant nothing to me. Now, the focus of what I do basically is on the biblical prophetic narrative. And what I find so absolutely incredible about this is there are biblical prophecies written thousands of years ago by different authors talking about the gathering of Israel from the four corners of the earth and bringing these people back into its ancient homeland where the cities would be rebuilt. And this is the 3-hour conversation. Books have been written about this. This is the hand of God, the real one, by the way. Because this prophecy is written thousands of years ago, and it's written with great specificity. It's written in great detail. And yet what we see is in modernity on the pains and the ashes of the Holocaust. On the ashes of the Holocaust, we see the ingathering of Israel, of the Jews, and forming their nation. And get this, you got to understand this, that Hitler's goal was to wipe out every Jew on the planet, knowing full well that if he did that, the prophecies, the biblical prophecies would never come to pass. God's a liar. Follow the God of this world, which is Satan, the dragon. And that's what's at stake. That's what's really going on. All this and more in my book, The Cosmic Chess Match. The only reason why I'm saying that, I'm pointing to you to, I think it's close to 350 pages, whatever. There's a lot of information in that book, and everything I just said is in that book. But I'm relating it now because I think it's extremely relevant to what's happening. So, who wants war in the Middle East? 7 key players and their interest. This was written back in 2017. So this is almost 6 months old now in November. So just today, and this is May 8th, 2018, Syria blames Israel for strike near Damascus. The target of the Israelis was an Iranian missiles aimed at Israel. They are playing hardball. So let's walk through this thing. This is the second attack by Israel. The second attack in less than 2 weeks. The second attack by Israel. One was, I think, last Monday, and a week ago yesterday, and now this one. Israel is not messing around at this point. They're not. And remember, there was a preemptive strike on Iran on their nuclear program under Menachem Begin. That's how they dealt with it. So this is, Israel's going after what's happening in Syria. There's 80,000 troops. Let's move on to the next slide. There are 80,000 troops embedded in Syria right now. And what's interesting is, and you can see this is the Jeremiah 49 prophecy. This is Elam, which is now, of course, part of Iran. And as you can see here, that there's the Bashar nuclear reactor. And Israel knows, and make no mistake about this, they're not idiots. The Iranians have continued to produce nuclear fuel for nuclear weapons. And when they think they can do it, they will nuke Tel Aviv. So I think, and I'm not a prophet here, and I'm certainly not prophesying, but Israel's already hit two attacks in the last 8-9 days. One recently today. The entire Middle East is on red alert. I know on the Drudge Report it talked about people in the Golan Heights now, bomb shelters, they're on red alert. So there's 80,000 troops in the area. And this is what's interesting. Here we've got Lebanon, we've got Hezbollah, all right? And in Hezbollah, we've got, and they are a proxy army of Iran, which is over here now, right? So here's Iraq, and Iran is off the screen. So this is the Psalm 83 Confederacy. This is my good friend Bill Salas gave me this slide to use. So here we've got Hezbollah in the north of Israel with upwards of 200,000 missiles. Israel has the Iron Dome. It can protect itself, but to a point. If Hezbollah starts launching thousands of rockets, Israel can't get them all. So we are looking at a very charged electric atmosphere. You've got Damascus in Syria, okay? The capital of Syria is Damascus. That's where Bashar al-Assad, the president who's been fighting this ridiculous bloodthirsty war, bloody war for what, 6 years now? And the death count is probably upwards of over 500,000 people. I'm just guessing from my last time I checked, but it's way up there. And the body count just continues. And because of this war, this is what pushed all those refugees into Europe. They're fleeing Syria and the war-torn area. So you've got Hamas, which just last weekend, burning tires, sending kites. Let me get some more to here. Sending kites with bombs attached to the kites. I mean, are you kidding me? It's just absolutely unbelievable. So remember, Israel gave land for peace, supposedly, when they gave back the Gaza Strip. What do we see? We see Israel giving up land. Do we see any peace? No. Last weekend, they're flying kites that go over the border with bombs attached, fire bombs attached. I mean, this is the mindset. This is the mindset. We do the Oslo Accords. We give you the land. All we want is peace. We just want to dwell in safety in our borders. No, you can't have that. Because we're going to make kites, okay? We're going to figure out a way to put incendiary devices on the kites and fly the kites over, let them go, and create havoc. This is what Israel's up against. So we've got Jordan, which still has a peace treaty with Israel. But with what's going on here, the Jordanians are Sunni, for the most part, and Sunni Muslims, and the Iranians are Shia. So we've got this hotbed of activity. And what you've got to understand, what we need to grasp this and understand this, that there's an apocalyptic mindset in Iran. An apocalyptic mindset. They believe, this is their ideology, this is what they believe, this is in their mindset, this is their worldview, it's in their Quran, this is what they believe, okay? That the Mahdi can only come in times of great chaos. So they want the chaos. They want the war. They want this thing to go all the way. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. And I'm going to play this because this is the area around Damascus. This is the suburbs of Damascus. So this is the suburbs around Damascus, because as you can see, it's rubble. And it's bombed out building after bombed out building after bombed out building. This is what, when Isaiah 17, which talks about the destruction of Damascus, this is what this is what we're going to be looking at. And it happens suddenly. And I got to tell you, folks, that's Isaiah 17. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Isaiah was a prophet that lived thousands of years ago. 17 is just a chapter. It's like if I said, yeah, turn to Moby Dick and go to chapter 22. And this is what you would do. You go to chapter 22. Well, Isaiah 17 talks about the destruction of Damascus. Damascus is the oldest inhabited city on the planet, to the best of my knowledge. It's never been completely destroyed. So here we have the suburbs around Damascus, and as we can see what's happening, and this film is old. This film is at least a year and a half, probably closer to 2 years, and it's been reduced to rubble. And of course, this is where the refugees are coming from. The refugees have fled the area around Damascus and gone into Europe. So it's mind-boggling where we are. And you won't see this on the 6 o'clock news, but you'll see it here on Acceleration Radio. And by the way, there's no way I can monetize any of this, which is why we have two sponsors. And I'll be getting into my new sponsor here at the other side of the break, but I digress. Look at the footage. Look at what's going on here. And this is ongoing. And we're not seeing half of what's going on over there. Iran has 80,000 soldiers embedded north of Damascus. And I got to tell you, folks, they're not there for a barbecue. They're not there for a little picnic. They're there for one reason only, to prop up Assad and then go and retake the Golan Heights. That's what they want to do. Let me just escape out of here. Okay, 6:20. Let me go back into play. I should have bought my iPhone here, and I'll get that on the other side of the break. So, again, I'm not a prophet. But I got to tell you, I think we're on the cusp of something. I really do. I think that war is imminent in the Middle East. It's already, look, Iran has been shamed in front of the entire world community by Netanyahu, by Israel, its arch enemy. Now, if somebody else had done it, maybe they would have, not so bad. But the fact that Israel got this information from the Mossad, and then Netanyahu showed it and revealed it, and now the world knows that the Iranians lied. Now what? They've just lost face on the world stage. And Israel has done preemptive attacks, 2 of them within 9 days in Syria. So is Iran just going to sit and do nothing? No. And this is why I truly believe we are looking at World War III, or at least a major skirmish between the players, Hezbollah, Iran, the Houthis in Yemen, and possibly Hamas will join the fray. That's pretty much everyone surrounding Israel. Now, the Houthis are way down in Yemen. But here's something we didn't talk about, and I need to just briefly touch on this, that the Iranians control the Strait of Hormuz. It's a very narrow waterway. And within that strait comes about 35% of the world's oil. And the Houthis, which are Iran's proxy, control the Gate of Tears, another waterway. What if the Iranians take a dirty bomb and detonate it on a bunch of ships, make a blockade of ships, detonate the dirty bomb? Now you've got a radioactive area. They choke off the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices, gas prices go through the roof, and I think America might enter the fray at that point. But this is what we're looking at. It's tenuous, it's tumultuous, and right now certainly unprecedented. So last night I have a dream, and in that dream, I'm with someone like Donald Trump, and it wasn't Donald Trump. And he's got his arm around me, and he's pointing to the distance of his huge mothership, and he goes, "L.A., they're here, and it's a really good thing." And the reason why I say that, and I'm going to get into this on the other side of the break, there are millions and millions of people who are ready to embrace the so-called extraterrestrial. And this, of course, is the coming great deception, and I will get into that right on the other side of the break. But before I do,
Chronicles, baby.
Okay, let's talk about Jingos, and you all know where I'm going with this. Look, this stuff works, okay? Jingos works. Buy it. When you buy this, not only are you helping yourself to keep those odorous, that's bad English, those onerous odors out of the room. And but you're helping us. But I digress. Let's read this. Hey, LA, my name is Sport, and I'm a very old poodle. My master Paul bought a bottle of Jingos for me. You see, I'm blind and deaf, so I have a hard time figuring out where I'm at. When I think I'm inside, I take a nap outside on the grass. Other times I think I'm outside, but I'm really inside and do what I'm supposed to do outside, inside, which makes a mess on the floor. Thanks to Jingos, my accidents are quickly cleaned up with no lingering odors, and my master Paul is pleased with the results. Your furry fan, Sport. Folks, you can now buy Jingos in the gallon size. All I can tell you, we use it all the time. My dog, my little scooter dog, my little corgi, went number 2 in one of our rooms. And we were out, we came back in, saw the evidence of that, cleaned up the mess, got the Jingos, sprayed it in the room, sprayed it on the spots. Voila. No stain, no smell. This stuff really works. You're going to want some Jingos, guaranteed. So, go to www.buyjingos.com, buyjingos.com. Order some today. I promise you, you will be delighted. Thanks for listening to Acceleration Radio. A very somber note tonight and sobering note, because I think we are on the cusp of something that's going to escalate. And I think it's going to escalate very quickly. Hopefully cool heads will prevail, but the fact that Israel, to recap, the fact that Israel has conducted 2 preemptive strikes in the last 9 days is a huge signal to me. And we'll see what the Iranian response will be. Thanks for listening to Acceleration Radio. Keep it right here. I'll see you on the other side of the break.
By Jingos, it's amazingly fresh and clean out here in beautiful New Zealand. G'day America, I'm Tarby, and I want to tell you about my new ultimate stain and odour remover, Jingos. My Jingos gunk gobblers will tackle stubborn organic stains and eliminate nasty stinking odours at the same time. Jingos effectively removes those little accidents like wine, coffee, dirt, blood, grass, even pet stains, and odours like fish, garlic, even skunk. Jingos is environmentally friendly, safe for use on fabrics, carpet, upholstery, and it works great as a laundry pre-soak on the worst pet or people accidents. Come on America, what are you waiting for? Just go online and order your Jingos for $12.95 and get a 4-ounce travel pack free. Crikey, pay $19.95 and I'll double your order. That's 2 large Jingos and 2 travel packs for just $19.95. Blasted seagulls, where's my Jingos?
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. You're probably asking yourself, what the heck is that on the screen behind L.A.? Well, I'm glad you asked. And you know, some of you YouTubers right now are probably watching this. This is a freeze-dried strawberry. And I'm eating it on camera because it's really good. In fact, I just may have to stop here and shamelessly plug this stuff. SimplyCleanFoods.net, and a variety of freeze-dried food. And what's great about this, these things, see, now I'm chewing my mouth full. I could keep eating, but I'll have a modicum of manners. Thank you very much. Things happen, folks. Things happen. Floods, famines, food supply can go south. Volcano eruptions, earthquakes. Think about the people in Houston. So the deal is this. And Simply Clean Foods, first of all, there's no GMOs, there's no insecticide, nothing like that. 20-year lifespan on the food. I have sampled it. And again, I don't bring anything into Acceleration Radio unless I sample it and I approve it and I like it and believe in it. So here's the deal. And it sounds pricey, but get this. You will receive, for $995, 825 servings of raspberries, bananas, peaches, apples, strawberries, sweet corn, green peas, and broccoli. All GMO-free, one ingredient, tested for heavy metals, 25-year shelf life. Why should you do this? Why should you do this? I'll tell you right now, it'll be the best $1,000 you ever spend. Why? Because you'll have peace of mind. You put it someplace high and dry, something happens, you got a fallback position. You got a fallback position. You tear open this, you add water, you add whipped cream, you can do whatever you want to do. You can rehydrate the stuff. It's amazing. And, you know, the cookbooks and lots of tips. So if you order now, you're saving $500. And I realize it's kind of pricey, but you're getting 825 servings. 825 servings. That's a lot of food, folks. That's a lot of food. And it'll keep you and your loved ones, if you need, God forbid we should have that. But what if a dirty nuke happens in this country? What if an EMP happens in this country? And that's my greatest fear. That we have an electromagnetic pulse weapon, the cars don't work, nothing works, right? The radio doesn't work, the TV doesn't work, no more acceleration radio. We're back pre-industrial revolution. If you're stocked up with this kind of item, simplycleanfoods.com, then guess what? You're safe, because the lights can go out, but you've got food. So anyway, folks, support what we do here, but more importantly, feed your family and have a backup plan. www.simplycleanfoods.net, simplycleanfoods.net. Okay, back to the show. Email, LA. I love all that you've done in research. Nephilim skulls. I've read all your books. The Cosmic Chess Match changed my life. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural was an awesome book. You had a major setback with the fairy phenomenon. I appreciate that you publicly denounced the fake fairy. Thank you. We should get kudos instead of anonymous people writing hit pieces on us. But I digress. I am right on board with you about the UFO disclosure and the theory of the fallen ones bringing in the golden age. I believe all of the fringe topics. I just fail to see and are completely uninterested in the Fatima Project. I get that the fallen can deceive people with signs in the sky. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy when it comes to Fatima. I'm sure the people saw some weird stuff happening. Why does Fatima and what happened 100 years ago have to do with today? Yes, we are seeing interdimensional UFO deception. With all due respect, can you clear this up for me? I love you, LA. Don't think this is a bashing email. No, I love this email. And when someone writes something like this, obviously there's a spirit of love there and brotherhood. I mean, you can see it. And it's like, you know, I'd love to take this guy out for dinner, and if he comes to a conference, Jim, I will take you out for dinner. How's that sound? And we can have a chat. But when I got that, I got strawberries. Hold on. When I got that email, I responded to it on the blog, and I'm going to read that to you now because it's important. What happened in Fatima 100 years ago has everything to do with what I call the coming great deception. But take note, the deception is already here. And I'm going to show you a clip that happened in Massachusetts, right? Another sun miracle 2 weeks ago. Right here in the good old United States, we're getting stuff happen. But I digress. Let's finish this little blog post. Please take a look at this recent so-called sun miracle, and I'll get to that, in the above video as it illustrates my point exactly. The people on the bus are embracing the pulsing sun. They are actually saying thank you. Why? Because they have been told by their leaders, here it comes, wait for it, that what happened in Fatima 101 years ago, this October, was from God and that it was a miracle. That's the party line. That's what people embrace. That's what people think happened at Fatima. That's why Fatima 1 and Fatima 2, our two films, are so groundbreaking. And we're not attacking anyone's belief system. We're just saying, hey, wait a minute. You know, we have two different Fatimas. We have the 1917 handwritten documents from the sanctuary that tell a completely different story than what most people know about today. Okay? What if what happened on the moors of Fatima was, as I have come to call it, a harbinger of deception? People in the field reported seeing a dull silver disc. But these testimonies, for the most part, along with the others we show in the film Fatima 2, have been ignored or perhaps deliberately covered up or obfuscated. Let me say that again. Have been ignored or deliberately covered up and obfuscated. So now we have an event, i.e. Fatima 101. Let me start that again, folks. Ready? 3, 2, 1. So now we have an event, i.e. Fatima 101 years ago, which we show in our film, which had nothing to do with the sun leaving its place in the solar system and coming to Earth. Now fast forward to the present day with the people on the bus. They have gulped down the Kool-Aid. They've just tilted that glass all the way back and just down the neck it went. They've heard about what happened in Fatima all of their lives, and so now when it happens to them and they experience it, they embrace it. This is why the title rings so true to me. Miracle of a Son or a Harbinger of Deception. No one, but no one on the bus is challenging what they are seeing. No one is rebuking first and asking questions later. No one is testing the spirits, and as we are admonished to do so. Just because there is a pulsing sun doesn't mean it's a sign from God. As we are told that in the last days, Satan, the dragon, will come with all signs and lying wonders. This is why the Fatima films are so relevant and timely. It's happening now, and people are being deceived. To sum it up, this is why what happened in Fatima is so relevant for today. Jesus warns us that deception would be paramount in the last days. Judge for yourself if we are in that window of time. You know what I need? I need a teleprompter so I don't have to keep doing this, and that's why I keep stumbling. Excuses. A lot of excuses tonight, LA. I don't know what maybe it's the strawberries that you ate. You know, you're eating the strawberries, and the next thing I know, you're having trouble reading. You never did that before, LA. Maybe there's no GMO stuff in there. Okay. This is the film that's on YouTube, which we'll watch. These people are on a bus, and they're watching the sun pulse. Ready? Here we go. So look, I am a frank supernaturalist, as many of you know, and no one is rebuking, no one is testing the spirits. They just think, well, it's a pulsing sun, it has to be from God. No one knows that. Nobody knows that. Can God do something like that? God can do anything. I get it. But we are warned. We are warned specifically that the dragon will come with all signs and lying wonders in the last days. You start putting things together, folks, and, you know, just because the sun is doing something like that means nothing to me. It really doesn't. It's a parlor trick, just like gold dust or gems appearing or Bibles that leak oil. You know, it's just like, okay, what does that have to do? What does that do? It appeals to my flesh. That's all. When I've seen the Spirit of a living God actually move in places, and I've seen it, I've experienced it. When it rolled off the stage, I was leading worship. And it rolled off the stage, literally. And people dropped to their knees and began to weep because they realized the burden of things that they had done in their life, the nasty little things that we all hold on to, that we keep hidden from other people, the sin, as it's called. And, you know, for some of you, LA's getting religious now. Turn that off. We eat it. So the bottom line, where did that come from? The bottom line is this, that I've experienced the Spirit of a living God move in a variety of different ways. But when he really shows up, there's an attitude of repentance because we are standing in the midst of a holy God. So all this other stuff needs to be tested, in my humble opinion. This is really interesting. This came in from Ben today. Further below, I copied a paragraph from a website. Interesting that Portugal had a long history of these legendary beings who guarded portals to other dimensions. They spun the rays of the sun and in many accounts had golden hair. Also, some legends say that they were shapeshifters and turned into snake beings. We covered this. We covered this whole thing in Fatima 2 with the serpent cults. Entities are very territorial. That's why houses are haunted. I agree. Impossible that these same beings from hundreds of years ago that legend described in Portugal are the same ones responsible for the events at Fatima. This is the quote. Now hear this, folks. Portugal has a similar tradition which describes a race of supernatural women called Mora, Encantada, the enchantress Mora, the mother goddess. And we really drilled into this with Dr. Michael Lake, Derek Gilbert of Skywatch TV, and Carl Teichert, all incredible researchers in their own right, great authors, and we present what they do. They came on the record in Fatima 2, and it's riveting because we talk about this goddess worship that happened in antiquity, and I believe just carried right into modernity. These women, now get this, these women were also said to be able to spin the sun, which connects intimately to the final apparition at Fatima, where thousands of witnesses watched a glowing oval of light spin through the sky. Some people looked up and saw a dull silver disc, and we report on this. And I got to tell you, folks, this is why it's so relevant, because what happened in antiquity is now repeating itself in modernity. Also concerning the angel hair, not talking about the pasta noodles, an event a few years ago, I can personally verify. Web-like fibers all over houses and cars and covered at least 2 counties. I don't believe they were spider webs at all. Not aware of any UFO activity at that time, but a Native American prophecy says something about spider webs crossing the land. Perhaps UFO activity becomes so numerous that angel hair covers the land as a result. Chief Joseph talked about that. That's a possible interpretation. Chief Joseph Riverwind, good friend of our show, and he'll be in the up-and-coming film that I'm working on now, which I won't tell you what it's called. But it's always good to talk to Chief Joseph. He's just a great guy, and his lovely wife, Laura Lynn. So where's all this leading? It has to do with disclosure. It has to do with the UFO, the disclosure of the so-called extraterrestrial presence. And what I find alarming here, folks, is that New Age people on the other side of the aisle, channelers, like, I'm not going to mention names, but people who channel entities, and by the way, we're forbidden to do that. How do you know that what you're bringing into your life is benevolent or malevolent? You don't know. You have no idea. Test the spirits. We're told specifically not to engage in that type of activity. Never have an entity, allow any entity to come into your life. When the good guys show up, they don't do that. They don't come into someone. They don't possess someone like that. Doesn't happen that way. But the bad guys want in. They want entrance so they can manipulate you. They can take over what you do. Like in Fatima 1 and in Fatima 2, we talk about the automatic writing, that the mediums who were channeling a spirit, a malevolent spirit in my opinion, from the dark, sourcing from the dark side, they're channeling this information. The medium is writing from right to left, and there's a message which they publish in Oseculo, the magazine, saying, that's the newspaper, saying that something wondrous is going to happen on the 13th of May in 1917. And guess what? Something wondrous did. But it was part of a deception. Why should we trust anything from a medium? We shouldn't, obviously. Obviously, we shouldn't. And it was signed Stella Matutina. All this is in the film Fatima 1 and Fatima 2. Stella Matutina, the bright morning star. Another name for the dragon. Another name for the dragon. So the New Age people are waiting for the event, this paradigm shift, when the UFOs are going to appear and usher us into a golden age. Don't believe me? This is what they're saying. The arrest of the cabal, the global elites who want a one-world government. Well, when these guys come back, they're going to try to set up a one-world government anyway. So instead of the elites creating a one-world government, maybe the nefarious extraterrestrial entities will be creating a one-world government. I mean, either way, we lose. The reset of the financial system. And go down here, the beginning of a new financial system with prosperity funds for all humanity. Well, how's that going to work? That sounds like communism to me. And we already know from the former Soviet Union that communism is an absolute no, it doesn't work and never will. Thank you very much. But then they talk about disclosure, the release of ET information, what propels the craft. The system, the free energy, which will be given to the globe. This is what's coming. The other side of the aisle saying this. I'm waving my hands frantically for decades, literally, trying to wake up people and to make them understand that it's already here. It's already happening. The people on the bus, they're already seeing stuff. What are we to make of that? Just pretend it doesn't exist? Come on. Come on. It's here and it's happening. And I find that incredibly alarming, actually.
What happened at Fatima is now in the far distant past. Over 100 years ago, events occurred which are still the subject of debate today. However, there have been numerous apparition sites since 1917. This segment will explore more of a strange phenomenon that is occurring in modernity. We will present real footage of so-called apparitions and ask you to determine what it is you are looking at. Can we really ascertain what these indistinct images of light are? You be the judge.
And before I roll that clip, this is all from YouTube, and I gave credit. This is happening in modernity. These are some miracles and apparitions. So this is why. This is why it's so important to understand what's going on. Check this out. Knock Ireland, 2017. Listen to the absolute hysteria of the crowd. And, you know, I'm not attacking people's belief system. I want to make that really clear. But they're obviously witnessing something supernatural, and they don't know how to deal with it. We are told in the guidebook of a supernatural, i.e. the Bible, that we're to test the spirits. And if you don't know how to do that, maybe I'll get into that in a later show. And there's a way to test the spirits. We're told to rebuke first and ask questions later. You know, we're told about the deception. We're told about the dragon coming with all signs and lying wonders. Are we looking at this? I mean, you hear the people? I'm going to roll it back there. I mean, do you hear the absolute hysteria from the people? And just look at this, right? It's right there. There's an image there, but we have no idea who that is or what that is. It's an image. It's an indistinct image. Does it look like a religious figure? Yeah. And if you've got that world, you know, oh my gosh, it might be Jesus. Oh my gosh. No, it's not. No, it's not. Not at all, in my opinion. This is Conyers, Georgia, 1990. So this happened in 2009, and I show this over a Coptic church, and it happened day after day or night after night after night. And the mayor of this, where this was happening, had all the electricity turned off, so to make sure it wasn't a hoax. And these entities appeared. Now this is what they do. This is supposed to be the baby Jesus right there, and this is supposed to be Mary. Why? Because it's got this blue thing that hangs down. That might be Joseph, and that might be an angel. We don't know. These are amorphous blobs of light. That's all they are. I mean, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm certainly not going to clap my hands and embrace it. We are told in Scripture, in the biblical prophetic narrative, that the dragon can appear as an angel of light. You tell me. You tell me. And what you hear is the absolute hysteria from the crowd. That's what you hear. They embrace it. And in all these clips, the crowd, it's very emotive. In some places, people are yelling, screaming, weeping. I find that alarming. This is why we made the films, Fatima 1, Fatima 2. And obviously, we're trying to get the word out. There's a book that we published. It's one of the first books I published under Spiral of Life. It's called Miracle of the Sun. And Jose Machado, who's a professor of semiotics, okay? And he had access. He gained access to the sanctuary at Fatima. And he was able to handle the original glass plate. That's right there. He's able to handle the original glass plate taken 100 years ago by Joshua Benolio on the Moor of Fatima while the miracle of the sun was taking place. Here's a quick little story. I've often wondered if there was a photograph. Often wondered where there were photographers in the field. And when I saw this, in my opinion, we have a smoking gun. We have a smoking gun because we published. Jose was able to take the original photograph, and we have that in the book, and we show what is clearly a round object, a disc-like object above where the tree is, where the apparition site, let's say this is the apparition site where the three children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta are, directly above it, right here, is that disc, directly above it. And we show that not only in the film, where we've got people that talk, that sort of hold Jose's feet to the fire, but in his short little book, I wrote the foreword. Francisco Correa also wrote a second foreword to it. It's a short little book, but it's packed with information, vital information. And one of those, of course, is the eyewitness testimony of a lawyer standing in the field, looking up and seeing a dull silver disc. So one more thing, an email from a woman who was at the Miracle of the Sun, or not, was at a sun miracle in Conyers, Georgia, decades ago. She's standing next to her fiancé. She looks up, okay? You know what she sees? She sees the sun and a religious figure, and the sun spinning. You know what he sees? They're right next to each other. He sees a UFO. Something is going on, folks. You can check out this limited offer by going to lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net. And look, I just thank God for our sponsors, and I don't have to monetize on YouTube with a bunch of silly ads anymore. And they demonetize it anyway. So it's no freedom of speech, by the way, no freedom of speech at all. But you can check out Fatima 1, Fatima 2. It's a great offer, and it's a limited offer, lamarzulli.net. And when you do that, you keep the lights on in the studio. And guess what? I'm working on another film, which I can't wait to start talking about, but I got to wait. And it will probably be available right before Christmas in November. Probably after Thanksgiving, we'll start talking about that. But I just want to thank you all for tuning in and making us number 4. Remember, folks, I'll see you on the air or in the air. Someone sent this to me, and I just love it. It's a little bit of humor here. But my saying is this: we go up, they come down. We go up, they show up. And we could be at a tipping point where we're going to start to see something in the not-too-distant future. Thanks for watching Acceleration Radio. Remember, I'll see you in the air or on the air.
What if what happened in Fatima 101 years ago was much more complex than any of us could have imagined? What if there was a fourth witness hidden away for decades, and through the detective work of researcher Fina Diarmata, this witness was discovered and interviewed? In that interview, the fourth witness described seeing a being with blonde hair floating in midair above the same tree that the apparition would later appear over. What if the so-called angel hair that fell over the crowd is also reported by witnesses who have had close encounters with UFOs today? Then there is the dull silver disc, which flew over the 80,000 people gathered at Fatima, which seemed to create chaos as car windshields exploded, hoods flew open, and gasoline spontaneously combusted. What if there was a picture taken 101 years ago that lay undiscovered in the Fatima archives until one man, Jose Machado, had access to it? What he found may be a smoking gun. Then there are the numerous reports of apparitions and so-called sun miracles. But what are these really? Could they be harbingers of deception? This is Fatima 2, Strange Phenomenon. Watchers, a 7-year excursion that takes you on a special kind of adventure. It's about the supernatural, and people flock to it to gain awareness on forbidden subjects like UFOs. The Shroud of Turin, the Torah Code, alien implants, the Nephilim giants, and even life after death. All these and more were why people always clamored for the next Watchers. Now, you'll get to see what many think were the best moments in the series. Excerpts of some of the greatest and most powerful true stories.
Our dog Charlie came home after being sprayed by a skunk. I tried shampooing with tomato juice and several dog shampoos, but nothing worked. I sprayed him with a new product called Jingos, and the other disappeared immediately. What an awesome product.
Go to buyjingos.com today.
Getting out for a walk in fresh air is a wonderful way to lift lethargy and tension. It's one of the simplest strategies to kickstart a healthy life. Keep moving, drink pure water, work towards a plant-based diet, and learn about supplements. They're some of the other keys towards a happy old age. In this episode, we're looking to the future and a number of developments that may help us too. A prediction that a new paradigm in healthcare is on the way. Stories of the miraculous benefits of stem cell treatments, and easing some of the problems of old age, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. All that, and we have an international megastar to tell you some of it. From Panama, a story little short of miraculous. A pilot, paralysed in a plane crash, is treated in Dr. Neil Reardon's stem cell clinic.
He was taking pain pills all day long, and he went from a 10 to a 3. He got no function back, but his neuropathic pain decreased dramatically. After his second treatment, he was able to move his left leg. After his third treatment, he was able to move his right leg. After his fourth treatment, he's able to walk. And now, here we are, I don't know how many years later, 8 years later, and he could walk into this room and you'd have no idea.
And unheard of in a spinal injury of this severity, the pilot's sexual function was restored, and he's now the proud father of twin girls. In this clinic, there are frequently uplifting stories.
One of the most shocking moments for me working at this clinic was with an autistic patient. The mom came over, and when she was leaving, she was bursting in tears because she heard her child say mom for the first time.
Hollywood movie star Mel Gibson will shortly tell us the dramatic story of his father's health turnaround after stem cell treatment. Finally, we're back to Panama to hear of more dramatic successes from stem cell therapy. We visited a clinic inside the stylish surroundings of a city hotel. The Stem Cell Institute was founded by Dr. Neil Reardon, son of nutritional medicine pioneer Hugh Reardon. Alongside his father, Neil pioneered vitamin C therapy for cancer, and he's now pioneering stem cell treatments. He's had great success with many conditions, including rheumatoid arthritis.
With rheumatoid arthritis, we see case after case after case. I just talked to a patient yesterday who came down about 6 weeks ago, and she crying on the phone. She can't believe that she's in no pain. She's had pain for 5 years. She hadn't slept through the night in 5 years. She says, "Tell me this is going to last. I can't believe this is happening. Please tell me it's going to last." And for the most part, with rheumatoid arthritis, it does last for an extended period of time.
Over the course of a year, we met Neil in Panama and at the Reardon Clinic in Wichita, Kansas, to find out as much as we can about the benefits of stem cell therapy.
Tell me where you get the stem cells from that you use in these procedures.
The umbilical cord's cut, baby's taken away, and then some short time thereafter, mother delivers the afterbirth, which includes the placenta and the umbilical cord and the amnion, and all of that tissue is rich in cells, and these cells are basically biologic garbage, and they're thrown away. So what we do is we take that tissue. You've reset the clock. These are day zero cells from a baby that was just born. They have a high degree of ability to reproduce and to secrete the three major things that we know that they do in the body. They secrete a batch of molecules that stimulate regeneration, that decrease inflammation, and modulate the immune system. So their main job in the body is to maintain the status quo. So when you're sick, you're not maintaining the status quo. When you're 70, you're not maintaining the status quo. Look at yourself. Look at a picture of you 10 years ago or 20 years ago. You haven't maintained the status quo. Things are going south. And so these cells, their job is to maintain the status quo, and that's why I think they're so important for aging research and for chronic illness.
What stem cells do can seem little short of miraculous.
What I do myself and what I think is going to be ultimately the answer for a lot of age-related decline and age-related chronic diseases is taking young, healthy stem cells, for example, from umbilical cord, and using those to supplement what you have. Because not only do they do the job of the stem cells that you used to have, but they also stimulate what you have left to behave younger. So they are the reason you renew yourself. And one question I get quite often is, how can these stem cells treat so many conditions? And the simple answer to that is the root cause of most of those conditions is lack of stem cells. Either lack of stem cells or the ones you have left aren't working properly. So if the common cause is that, then it would make sense that the treatment of choice would be replacement of those stem cells with ones that are healthy and ones that are active.
There are two main kinds of stem cells. Neil uses mesenchymal stem cells, MSCs.
These MSCs are found throughout your body, so you can get them from the fat, you can get them from the bone marrow. Every organ has MSCs in it. If you have a tooth taken out, you can take MSCs from that. But the problem with those MSCs is that they're as old as you are. And a lot of our patients are advanced age. Not only just the age, but they're dysfunctional. Like if you have an autoimmune disease, in lupus it's demonstrated that your MSCs are messed up, they're dysfunctional, they don't operate properly. With MS, multiple sclerosis, we know that your MSCs do not function well. With rheumatoid arthritis, we know the MSCs do not function well. So we use day zero cells, or from umbilical cord. So after a live, healthy birth of a cesarean section, then we take, the baby's delivered, the umbilical cord's cut, and that umbilical cord comes to our laboratory, and we isolate the MSCs from that umbilical cord tissue, and then we grow them up. And we don't use all of them because not all umbilical cords are the same, not all MSCs are the same. So we have a screening methodology that gets, if you're making a basketball team, it's basically the LeBron James of those cells, and we have molecular screening that we can do that tells us whether these cells are good or not, and then we'll use maybe 2 or 3 out of 100, and then we use those to grow up large numbers that can be used to treat thousands of patients. If you're healthy, if you're 25 years old and fit, you won't feel a thing when you get those cells, and the actual infusion is nothing, right? The hard work is growing the right amount, the right type of cells for the right condition. But the actual infusion is it's a 5-minute IV. It's quicker than an intravenous vitamin C drip, And to see the transformations is quite incredible. But if you're young and healthy, your MSCs are in great shape, right? But the sicker somebody is and the older they are, they have what we would consider an MSC exhaustion condition. So the young cells, when they're in contact with the old MSCs, they actually reprogram the old MSCs to act more like young MSCs. So their turnover time is quicker. So just to give you an example, if you take MSCs from a newborn, they'll divide about every 24 hours. So you start with one cell, and you let them divide in the laboratory for 30 days, you'll have 1 billion cells. So you take the same cell from a 35-year-old, and it divides around every 48 hours, right? And that sounds linear, from 24 to 48, but at the end of a month, you have 32,000 cells instead of 1 billion. And if you take from a 65-year-old, the average doubling time is 60 hours. And you do the math on that, at the end of a month, you have 200 cells. Well, if the repair that's required requires 1,000 cells or 5,000 cells or 10,000 cells, you're always going to lose, right, if you're in that condition. So that's why at later ages, people have such a dramatic response, is because they're always deficient on the repair side. And these cells help their cells behave younger and basically do more repair. So you can summarize what the umbilical cord, what all MSCs do, but the umbilical cord being day zero cells, what they're able to do very robustly is decrease inflammation, stimulate regeneration, and also modulate the immune system, because they are the cells that modulate our immune system. They direct traffic. So if they actually do it both ways. If there's not enough immunity, they'll upregulate certain things. They're hardwired, programmed to respond to different conditions. So, and if there's too much inflammation, they'll actually produce anti-inflammatory things to shut it down. So it doesn't matter which way you are, their job is to maintain homeostasis. And so as we get older, the robustness of our cells and their capacity to do those things decreases. When you add the umbilical cord, the young cells, they reprogram the old cells to behave more young, and you get the decrease in inflammation, modulation of the immune system, and stimulate regeneration. One of the craziest things is that they donate mitochondria to damaged cells. So, you know, the mitochondria are the energy producers of the cells, and MSCs will actually triage cells. So they'll circulate through the body, they'll triage, and they can sense whether the cell has enough mitochondria in it to survive, or if it's out of mitochondria, it'll just pass it by. If the mitochondria level is too low, it'll just say, well, you know, too bad, you're dead, and then move on to the next cell and say, oh, well, this one has plenty of mitochondria, pass that by. Oh, this one, you know what, if I donate mitochondria into this one, it'll survive. And they literally do donate their mitochondria, and they can do it through a couple different ways, through tubules or just by shedding mitochondria that are taken up by the damaged cells. So, and if you look at many hypotheses of aging, it all has to do with mitochondrial oxidation. There's a perfect correlation inverse correlation between lifespan and mitochondrial oxidation, right? So you take the shortest lived animal, and they have the highest amount of mitochondrial oxidation, whereas in the longest lived animal, they have the lowest level of mitochondrial oxidation. Well, just imagine if you can donate mitochondria and you reset the clock to day 0, right, for mitochondrial diseases, or not mitochondrial disease. Aging is a disease is a mitochondrial disease, right? It's a depletion of your mitochondria.
Movie star Mel Gibson is a regular visitor to the Stem Cell Institute. He has treatments for a shoulder injury, and he's become an advocate of stem cell therapy. Mel's father, Hut Gibson, had his life transformed by going to Panama. His treatment pulled him back from the edge of death, aged 92. 7 years later, he's thriving.
Well, he was pretty old. He was 92, and he wasn't doing too well, and I took him to the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and they said, "You better leave him here. He's going to be dead." And I'm like, really? So they kept him there 10 days, stabilized him, identified a number of problems, just wearing out, the kidneys, he had some congestive heart stuff and lung stuff, and various other things. His hip was, hurting. He was not ambulatory, and he was in a lot of pain and pretty listless and sick. Night, what do they call it? Night terrors, or where he wasn't quite lucid. But all this stuff was draining his energy and affecting his mind, and it was the full kind of old indignity, the 92 years of age. So I figured, if he could just get his hip under him and get moving again. And they said, well, you shouldn't really. He's pretty old to be doing an operation like that. The recovery it'll take so much for him to recover. He'll probably that might take him out. I'm like, well, we can't do that. And then my brother said, look, why don't you try? I got this website of this like adult stem cell thing. I'm like, what adult stem cells? Yeah. So I asked a doctor friend of mine, what he thought about that. And he says, stay away from those guys. It's unproven. He's like, it's, down in Panama, it's lepers and banana boats and three-legged dogs. And I'm like, well, you're exaggerating. And it turns out that he was. But I said, look, can we talk to these guys? He said, I'll talk to them. So I got this friend of mine, Brad, who was the doctor at Mayo. And we spoke to them for an hour. And it was interesting because he asked them questions I never would have thought of. I mean, what is a mesenchymal cytokine? Out of sight, out of kind. I don't know from nothing. So he's talking, and then I asked him to translate all this, and he translates it in a pretty good way. He puts it into the sort of vernacular for me, and we're talking about it back and forth. And he says, let's call him again. And we talked to him for another hour, and we talked to Neil Reardon and Jorge. And they both talked to us on the phone, and afterwards the guy said, you know, it doesn't sound crazy. I mean, he says, it sounds kind of amazing. And he says, look at your dad, what do you got to lose? So I put him on a plane and got him down here. And, you know, we shot him in the hip. And they thought they had to do 2 hips. So they had enough for 2 hips, but it was so much, but they put double the amount in 1 hip. And then, of course, they just dropped some into his bloodstream, like 100 million cells or something like that. So, but every ailment that this man had kind of righted itself, and pretty quickly too. And he started walking without pain, and he became back to his lucidity, and his kidneys were okay, and his heart and his lungs, and his eyesight got better, and he even started getting little pigments in his hair and stuff. It was like, it was insane.
We were invited out to California. Mel wanted us to present, you know, what we did to his friends. So we had a deal at the that pink hotel, the Beverly Hilton or whatever, and we had about 70 of his friends showed up, and we talked about what we did. And then afterwards, we went over to see Hut, is his name, Hutton Gibson. We went over to his house, and his nurse, I'll never forget, he has these two nurses from Central America that are stocky, tough women, and I remember the one nurse that was down in Panama with him, the whole time she was sitting like this, because she's like, you know, this is BS, right? She's like, this is not going to work. And when I walked into his house, she says, oh, Dr. Reardon, oh my God, look. And she says, get up, old man, show him what you can do. And so he gets out of his chair and he walks around, and then he starts moonwalking. This is a guy that was you know, 6 months, 7 months prior they had already written his obituary. So there's an example, and he's been back. So each time that Mel thinks he's kind of slipping, he'll bring him back down for treatment, and I think he's been down a total of 4 times since then. And in August, he celebrated his 98th birthday. So there's an example of somebody who probably wouldn't have made it and had a horrible quality of life, who now has a great quality of life and likely to make it to 100. And you know, he quips, and it's just amazing the transformation that we've seen with him and frankly a lot of other people that are in their 80s and 90s.
And you know, he's almost 99 now. He's been down 3 times. And almost 99, I did it on my shoulders, and you know, cut to 2 years later, I'm doing my shoulders, and the doctor who was skeptical is there getting his knees done because he wasn't walking too well. So we're both, you know, late 50s, so, or back then we were in our late 50s. I'm a little older than that now, but it's I think it's pretty miraculous, you know, what it was able to achieve for the old man, and he's still going. 99 in August. So he got 7 years out of you know, from this stuff, when, you know, they told me at the clinic, like, you know, you don't leave him here, he's going to be dead in 4 days.
Did I hear a rumor that he actually demonstrated a moonwalk on his subsequent birthday?
Oh no, he was fooling around. He was like, he was pushing the nurse in the wheelchair and doing all. He was goofing off. He got a big kick out of that. He got pretty. He got a lot back. So the quality of his life picked up tremendously, and of course he's 99, so it's, you know, he gets up, he still walks a little and gets around a little, and he can still give you a dissertation on the ancient Romans and stuff. So, you know, it's all working. So that's pretty cool.
Well, you've explained the physiology pretty well to someone who doesn't understand biology or anything like that. You've explained that to me really well, but it's still hard not to call it miraculous, that and other stories you've told me.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
It is, and it's completely natural. You know, it's not. I don't view what we're doing as anything spectacular. I view what we're doing as augmenting the natural response, the natural repair processes in the body, in people who, for age or for lifestyle or for bad luck, have cells, the MSCs that don't work properly or they don't have enough of them, and all we're doing is supplementing something they're missing. It's as simple as that.
And no negatives, no side effects, all positive?
Side effects, yes, but good ones. I haven't seen any negative ones, all right? And I did it myself with the shoulders. I couldn't, flap my wings for 3 days but they don't give you an anesthetic. I mean, they just put you there. I said, "This is going to hurt." And he says, "Only when the needle comes out the other side." He's just kidding around, but they shoved the needle in the bursa and hit me with some cells, and I had torn labrums and arthritis and bone spurs and all kinds of, couldn't sleep with the pain, but I haven't had a problem in 3 years.
Mel Gibson is one of many celebrities using the Stem Cell Institute, but Neil emphasises that his big-name patients are in the minority. Now, yesterday Mel Gibson talked to us. He told us about his father and how significantly his father improved. And Mel himself said he had stem cells for his shoulder problems and neck problems. And I know, I'm aware you treat many other celebrities and well-known people. It would almost possibly give the impression that this is something for the rich. But you tell me that is definitely not the case.
Yeah, well, the vast majority of our clients are not wealthy by any means. They come here because they have nothing else, and yeah, the treatment is, I would say, is expensive relative to other things. Relative to medicine in the United States, it's bargain basement, in my opinion. I had knee surgery maybe 4 years ago. I was in the operating room for 45 minutes. My insurance, the bill to my insurance company was $29,000. I was in the hospital for 2.5 hours. So I think we only have one treatment, which is more than that, and that's for spinal cord injury, and they're here for 4 weeks, and they receive 18 infusions, and they go to physical therapy every day, and that includes their hotel. So I think given what all that's done relative to medicine in the United States is very inexpensive. To the average family, it is certainly expensive. I look back, and we have some young parents that come down here, and I look back at where I was financially at that stage in my life, and there was no way I couldn't afford to go out to dinner more than once a month. So. It's not for the masses yet, but the first digital watch cost $1,200, and now they're 10. So, and they're way better. And I think having more people in this and doing more, we make strides every year on manufacturing costs and technological breakthroughs that allow us to grow many more cells at a lot lower cost. And then of course, the more people that do it, the smaller the margins have to be. But to specifically answer your question, I think our VIP, superstar, super wealthy population is less than 5% of our patient population.
And just a final one, no ethical or moral questions, because I think people still remember the early days of stem cells when they were taken from fetuses and things like that.
Yeah, well, you're talking about embryonic stem cells, which is, and I've talked to a lot of doctors about this. I've become quite versed in it. And embryonic stem cells have nothing but strange anomalies, and like where you grow teeth on your shoulder. And so, I mean, it's very weird. And but they actually don't work, and they produce a freak show. Whereas adult stem cells, and technically mesenchymal stem cells from an umbilical cord, are adult stem cells, and morally there's no stigma, or there's not even a debate, because the kid's off somewhere sucking a rattle, he's fine, so it's like, it's all good.
Some fascinating insights there. But let me remind you again of the basics that all our experts agree on. We need to drink pure water, get some movement and exercise into our daily routine, work towards that plant-based diet, and see what supplements might be of benefit to us. Stay with us for the next episode.
Over 130 million Americans believe it will happen, and soon.
Imminent event that will take place when people are not aware.
Millions of people will vanish into thin air. It will be a vindication of their faith.
It's going to be a wonderful time.
For others, it will be the beginning of the end.
It will be hell on earth.
The world will be changed forever.
God usually has several things in mind when he does something monumental like this.
Things we take for granted will be gone.
I think it's very clear that America will not exist as it does today.
For those who are left behind, there will be no help.
Not expect the government to be there to protect you, not expect the police to show up.
Out of the chaos will rise the greatest evil mankind has ever known.
That man is probably on Earth today.
The clock is ticking.
So we should prepare our loved ones for this time. We need to warn them. We need to encourage them.
Are you ready? The rapture, the beginning of the end.